Welcome back. This is Jetfire's Annie 150. This is Module 5. And this is Part 9. And we're going to create 2 variants. And a lot of game designers, module designers will do several variants, if not dozens of variants. So they can have different looks. The more Legos you have, the different Legos that you have, the more things that you can create. So it's no different than when you're doing a modular system. That if we're kind of stuck with we have 14 pieces right now, and that's including the door and the frame. Then we've got 14. We're gonna just create 2 variants, and it's going to be from these 2. Okay, so before we do a variant, we need to fix some things here. We need to take the faces off of each one of these. Now we're going to keep the floor panels intact. Okay, the reason for that is because if we put them together and we've got some detail like this that goes through and we put them together, we may see some things that we don't want to see. And looks like I forgot to make some changes here. Let me do that real quick. I'm going to fix that. I forgot to do that. So let me fix that real quick. There we go. And let's go ahead and separate this guy right here. This was a mistake that I made earlier. So I'm going to go click on these 2 vertices here. I'm going to move them forward like that. And this was the piece. Go to the side view here real quick. And let me get this fixed really fast. Okay, there we go. And get this lined up with the rest of them. There we go. And we're going to separate this piece from the rest. So I'm going to go to face mode and just select the faces of this object here. Okay, there we go. That looks pretty good. Let's make sure I get that taken care of. And let's go to extract. Edit mesh, extract, and that should extract those pieces. So we're good there. And the only thing else I need to do, it looks like I need to finish this piece up. So I need to put, I think there's a gap here. Yeah. So let's kind of fix this up a little bit. Let's move those up to the top. Here we go. Line that up. Okay, so we got the same kind of thing going on with the other ones too as well. Alright. Alright, so that looks pretty good. The only thing is we were missing the back. I don't think we need the back for the light piece right here. And I don't know if we need a top part for this, but that's easy enough to fix, right? So what do we have going on here? Let's take a look at this. And looks like this one here, these have been separated before, and these 2 basically have to work together. So I should have that moved up. So let me do Control 1. I'm going to fix all this in a minute. So I'm going to take this vertices here, and we're going to move those up. So I'll show you a tool that I use a lot. I'm going to hold the V key down. I'm going to snap this to that one. I'm going to click on this guy right here, hold the V key. I'm going to click on the center and I'm going to move it to the top like that. And it doesn't mean that it's merged them together. In fact, if I marquee select, you can see there's 2 there. So I'm going to go in here with those selected. I'm going to go into Edit Mesh and merge to center and do the same thing with this. I'm going to hit the G key. That reinvokes my last action, so G. And then with these guys right here, I'm going to use the same technique I used before by clicking on grid and snapping them together, okay, and then clicking off of grid and then moving them in place like that. There we go. So that should fix that issue that I had before. So kind of get really close and get those lined up. There we go. This was a mistake I made earlier, and I'm just correcting it. There we go. So we get something that looks more like the rest of them. Control 1, there we go. Alright, so the next thing I can do is to fix the rest of this. That's fairly simple. We're going to go to Edge, and I'm going to hit the Q key and select these edges here. Okay. Now what I normally would do is probably take this edge by itself and extrude, Control E, and just extrude it to that point like that. That would make it easier. And then what I would do then at that point, I would probably move it up just a smidge like that, and hit the Q key and go to vertex mode, and I'm going to weld these together. So I move it up so it's easy for me to do that. So I'm going to go into Target Weld Tool, hold down the Shift key and right mouse button, and I'm going to click on this and go ahead and marquee select this one and this one. There we go. And the rest is easy. So now that's welded. I'm going to hit the Q key, and I'm going to go in here to the edge mode and click these edges here. Okay. And I'm going to go to Control E, and this will give us a nice extrude, except that doesn't give us a nice extrude. The manipulator doesn't work, so I'm going to go Control Z back and hit the W key. Remember, that will fix that, and that will go straight back like this. And honestly, you guys can fix anything you want. And I'm not gonna close it all the way, because what I'll do is I'll go into selection mode. Again, I'm gonna hold down the Shift key, right click, and go to Target Weld, and click on this. And if you don't see the vertices, I'm gonna go ahead and force it and go to right click over and go to Vertex. I'm gonna marquee select that and go to, or not marquee select it, just select it, hold down your left mouse button, and just kind of connect them. You have to keep your mouse button held down. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. There we go. And don't worry about these goofy pieces right here, because we can go to the side view and line those up. So I'm going to go ahead and select these guys right here. And from the side views, kind of see what we got. They're kind of off kilter, and we need to move them back and up, just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's good enough. So this piece is completely finished. It's kind of like the rest of them. Okay. Alright, so that way, if this piece is moved away, right? If this piece is moved away, this one looks finished, and that's really important. Okay, I'm going to go Control Z back. All right, so that's important. So we got everything fixed, that part of it anyway, and then we've got to fix these guys right here, where I'm going to again be very careful what you select. If some of you guys are moving pretty quickly, and so I'm going to hit the Q key. It's easier to select. Hold down the Shift key and just select these. And what I'm going to do is hit the 4 key. And this makes me, that way I can see and rotate around, make sure nothing else is selected by accident, and hit the delete key. And so I'm going to just continue that, going through these pieces that I don't need, because they're going to be, you know, I'll show you what we're going to do in just a little bit, you know, basically mirroring them over. So I'm going to hit the 4 key again, just kind of look around, make sure nothing else is selected. Okay, delete key, hit the 5 key again, and we're getting close. This is it. And face mode. Okay, 4 key looks good. delete. Alright, so you could do the same thing. You could leave those there, and it wouldn't hurt anything, because, and if you want to do that, I'm okay with that. I guess I'm just so used to doing that and mirroring things over. But it doesn't matter, because this is what you're going to do with it. You always want to do a pivot point at the lowest left-hand corner. So each one of these will have to move that pivot point to the lowest left-hand corner. Okay. Now there are some pieces that are not on the grid, like we've pushed this out. Okay, it has been modeled to the grid, and most of this has. So, but we still have to move that pivot point, okay, to that corner. And when we save it out, export it out, we have to have it at the center. So we'll talk about that. If you export any of these things out, they'll have to be exported out by themselves. Okay. And then you can use them in a game engine and stuff like that. Alright, so the idea now is to go ahead and do a center pivot first. That's probably the best way, and we'll do it all at once. So we're going to select everything. Okay. And we're going to be in object mode. We want to be in object mode for everything. And here's a couple things we're going to do. Okay. Because all these pieces are all basically have history. We've done a lot of work to these, so we're going to go ahead and freeze, or excuse me, center pivot right here. Okay. Okay. And you can also do it modify center pivot, but there's the icon. You can also do delete by type history by going to edit, delete by type history, or you can just click on delete by type history, and there's freeze transformations, and that basically is modify freeze transformations right there. Okay, we've talked about that as well. Alright, so with this one, this piece here, because if you duplicate and rotate it around itself, you could do it two ways, but you would want it at the corner, basically the corner of the object if you can. The top pieces are going to be kind of rough to do, but alright, so if I click on that, hit the W key, you can see that's centered at at the middle. And a lot of people would leave that alone. Okay, leave it the way it is. And it's up to you how you want to do this, but a lot of times I'll do Control D and a V, and I will select the center. I'm going to hit the W key, the D and V, and then I'm going to snap it to one of these corners like that. Okay. And I'm going to do that to this piece here as well. D as in David, V as in Victor, and just snap it to the corner. Okay. Alright, and let's do the same thing with this one. D and V, and snap it over here to that corner. We're going to continue along this whole thing. And I'll do this a little quicker now. And then we'll do that with the bottom pieces too. Okay. D and V, click on the center of it and just kind of snap it. And then D and V. There we go. Okay. Alright, and then click on this one, D and V, and you can just do this quickly. Shouldn't take too long. This one, if you have a lot of points, just make sure you're getting that right in the corner. There we go. Okay. D and V, just make sure it's snapped. Yep, it is. Okay. And then this one, D and V. There we go. Again, if you have edge loops really close, you're going to need to make sure that they're correct. There we go. Alright, and D and V. And D and V. Okay. Okay, it doesn't take long. We're just getting all the pivot points centered, or on the left hand side. Go. I think everything's good. And then the door, because we got it facing that way. Here we go. And then the door itself. Alright, so this is the corner right here. D and V, and whoops, rotational value. I'm going to rotate a little bit so I can get on top of that. Looks like my stuff's getting in the way. Ah, can't see anything. There we go. Now I got it. D and V. There we go, and I can snap that to that point right there. Alright, cool. Excellent. Alright, so everything's good. Make sure you save your scene. I'm going to pause for a second while I save my scene. Okay, so save your scene, and once you've done that, then I want you to select everything. Okay, and I want you to duplicate it. So Control D. Okay, and that should be placed in a layer, because I haven't put these in a layer. Now, if you've already placed everything in a layer, you might have an issue with it not actually executing this function. So you might have to delete that. We talked about this, deleting your layer and then duplicating it and then putting it, and then trying it again, putting it in a layer. But this one here, I'm going to call this again. This will be called medium. Okay. Poly. Okay. Medium poly. That's where the edge loops go. Okay. Keep that turned off. Okay. And then we're going to select this, click off, and we're going to select this again. Okay. And we're going to call this, I guess we'll do the medium first, and then we'll do the high poly. So let's click that off, and then we're going to click on this, the whole everything. I'm going to do Control D, and that's going to be called low poly. Okay, and if I turn that off, so you can see that goes away. So the layers are working. And then this one, okay, this one here is going to be called original. Okay, so we're going to call this original. Alright, cool. Great, so I can turn that off. Okay, so low poly's working, medium poly's working. Okay, everything's good. We even got our originals over here too as well, where we started. Okay, there we go. Alright, so it's really crazy to see how far we've come. I mean, look at that, what we started with, and then what we have right now. That's very cool. Alright, so with that done, then we're going to do our variance. This is what this video is all about, and I'm already 18 minutes in. So this is our variance. So this is going to be really simple. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Okay, so we're going to do, basically with a variant, I want to do a duplicate of that. So what I'm going to do is, I think, let's turn that low poly off. Our original, now this is where it gets weird, because it may not let us duplicate this. It'll let us duplicate it, but it may not. I'm going to push it over to the side, so I'm not going to put it in a layer, so it won't get in the way. Actually, I'll just do it forward. So I'm going to go Control D and move it forward. Alright, and then we're going to take this guy, Control D, and move it forward. Now we're not going to change the structure, okay, per se, meaning the main structure. What I want to do is I want to change something on here. So on this one, it's going to be easy. I think I'm going to change something in here. And in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it very simple, what I do. And I like what I have right here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these faces, okay, all of them, all the faces inside. So I'm going to go to the front view, and I'm just going to marquee select the center like this. Okay? Right, just like that. Okay, which is easy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the W key and push it back. Okay. Alright. So far so good. Okay. Awesome. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the R key and scale it down. Just like that. Okay. Alright. Cool. Alright, same thing with this guy right here. Alright, so go to the front view, and we're going to select this one. There we go. And let's see what we have here with this. Did I forget something? What is this? Oh, it's just a shadow. Okay, got it. It's like, what the heck is that thing? Alright, so I'm going to hit the 4 key here. And it was just a shadow from the ambient occlusion on the viewport. So that kind of threw me a little bit. And with this one, we are going to scale it like this again, like that. Kind of following this one. Okay. And then pushing it in. Alright. There we go. Same kind of thing. Alright, so let's try to get the same depth if we can and the same feel for this one. There we go. Alright, awesome. That looks good. Okay. And that looks great. So the next thing, see, the whole thing about this is that you change it just enough to break up monotony in your level. That's what you're doing. So with this done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some pipes. Now I'm going to do very cheap, very cheesy pipes real quick, but it will make a difference. It's pretty cool. Let's go ahead in there, and normally I would never go so high poly, but it won't really matter. I suppose let's go low poly, a little lower. Let's see. Actually, that's okay. I think we can go that high, even for smaller pipes. Usually, the bigger pipes you have to go a lot more subdivisions. So let's bring this down to something like 14, and then scale it down. And that should be okay for a pipe. I think that's good. So we're at 14. And then we'll go ahead and scale that out like this. Okay. So basically what I'm trying to do is make some conduit and piping. Okay, so to kind of save vertices and stuff, let's take the ends of these. So this is an easy way to do this real quick. So go to face mode and just select the whole thing. And then hold down the control key and just deselect the center. And the thing is, it just leaves the ends. So I'm going to hit the delete. There we go. So we don't need those ends. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get these from the front view. I'm going to scale these up just enough that kind of goes inside, and then when we move it back in perspective, you can see that, ooh, look at that. It's so cool. And don't worry about the back. That doesn't matter. We're never going to see that. You don't want it to hit the back though, or go through the back. So just let it, yeah, there we go. That looks good. So you can do some random stuff, like do a couple here, and we'll do another one, Control D, one on top, one on bottom. I mean, that's just enough to make a difference. It's pretty cool. We're doing very little, really, and making it look really, really cool. So I'm going to take these two guys, Control D, okay, bring them over here. And obviously, they're too big for this object, so I'm going to go ahead and move this back a little bit until they get through. I'm going to kind of put these together so we'll get a better, there we go. Okay, that looks good. Alright. And there is a little difference there, so I got to pull these. Let me do both of them at the same time. Pull these forward a little bit. There we go. That's good. Alright, so that works. And then from the front on here, we'll right click over this, go to vertex mode, and let's go into component mode up here. And that way we can do both of them at the same time. Push those in, push those in, and voila, there's our variant. Very, very cool. That's awesome. And that will break things up. Now again, you know, I'm letting you guys take some liberty, artistic liberty, and adding more stuff if you want. Okay? This is just getting you started. Okay? And showing you what a variant is and what you can do. You could easily have pushed that back or pushed that back. The idea is taking an original piece and just changing it up just a little bit, and that's easy to do, and that way you don't have to spend a whole lot of time modeling. Okay? Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to select these pieces. Okay, let's get in object mode, right? And hit the Q key and select this and this, and let's go ahead and combine those. There we go. And let's do the same thing with this. Okay, and combine. Perfect. So basically, now we have our variant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, did you see what happened when I combined it? It moved that pivot point to kind of the center, what it thinks the center is. So I'm going to hold the D and the V and snap it back where it needs to be. And you'll notice that, you just have to watch that. D and V. There we go, snap that. Whoa, what happened there? That's weird. Okay, that didn't work. D and V. There we go. Okay, it looks like it worked that time, so I guess we're okay. So the next thing we're going to do is get everything lined up and ready to go. So let's go ahead and get that lined up. And this is going to be our variant. So what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and turn grid snap on now. And get these lined up. So I'm going to turn on grid snap. And let's see if we can move these guys over. And select these guys, move these guys over. Like that. And just get things moved over really, really quickly. We're going to have one unit between them all. And if you can't move them all together, just move them, move them, one at a time, I guess. And then let's move the door back a little bit. And let's move this guy over. And this is our variant. And you can also do this with your walls as well. Okay, bring that back. There we go. Alright, so that's what we have so far. And let's go ahead and rotate this, even though we'll probably rotate this again. You can see that rotates. It's weird. Okay, let's go back. Let's go ahead and rotate this by itself. And then this will rotate kind of weird. Alright. And let's turn off grid snap. Let's see, maybe that will work. I don't know. Let's go ahead and move that over. And let's move that down. No, it's grid snapped. Nope, it's not grid snapped right. For some reason. Let's go Control Z back again. Right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine, because they are separate objects. Oh, I know what the deal is. The dealio. Okay, let's go back. Is that it? Was that like that? I don't remember doing that. Alright, so let me go back here a minute. Okay, looks like I messed up a little bit here. Hold on. Alright, so let's move that back. There we go. Okay. Alright, so I think it's because of the pivot points. And let me get the grid snap off and get this placed the way I want it. Okay, and then what I'll do is let's place the pivot points at the same exact spot for the door, just for a little bit. I'm going to click on the door and just hold the D and the V key and just snap it to that corner, and then this one should be snapped to that corner. So now if I select them both and rotate it, it should work. There we go. And that's what I was wanting to do. So let's go back to grid snap. There we go. Okay. Alright, cool. So everything looks good. Alright. So is everything on the same grid snap? If not, you'll have to move things up by hand and a lot of times I can do this where I can snap to this guy right here holding the V key, right, and snap to him. Okay, let's see, how close can we get here, and hold the V key down and snap it perfectly to line these up if I want to, and then I can go ahead and take it away. There we go. So that helps snap that one. I'm going to do the same thing with this guy. It's just a quick little thing I learned. Hold the V key down and just kind of snap the corners of these two together, and then you can move it away. There we go. That way that'll line them up perfectly. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with this guy right here. I'm not really too worried that they're in the same, area. This will only fit in one direction, right? This will only fit, these two will only fit like this. And they will only fit along this area here, like that. So that's the only way this thing will fit. Okay. And, people probably figured that out, So let's go Control Z back. Alright, so that's going to be your alignment. Again, we can line them all up for me if you want to, like this. That's cool. So you'll have your 16 pieces. So this will be your 16 pieces. So you'll give me something like, I don't know, it's going to be kind of hard to see the tops and the bottoms at the same time. Get rid of this thing. I don't need that. Okay, and you don't need your grid, so you can go show and turn off your grid under show and then uncheck it. There we go. So you can give me maybe a screenshot like that. Okay. And if you don't know how to do screenshot, you can just click on search and hit the S key and go to snippet tool. And again, and let's go ahead and do a snippet. Move that out of the way and let's do a whole viewport snip. There we go, like that. Make sure you save it, file, save as, and save it as a JPEG file. And I want you to put your first and last name on it. So, and this will be perspective low poly, right? There we go. Probably should put my full name. Okay, there we go. I don't need to see the backs, really. And then we'll do, see, I can't see the top, so I see the bottom and I see what I did here. And then you close that, and then you do the other way. You go like that and show me the top, like that. Okay, there we go. Something like that would be cool. I want to be able to see everything, so get me a nice little screenshot there. Fill the screen up. I want to be able to see everything, right? Okay. It's kind of hard to do a perspective and show everything because this one's not sticking out very much. All right, so something like that would work pretty good. There we go, like that. A bit closer, and then just hit the S key. Snipping tool. Mode, rectangle snip, and then snip from the corner, and there you go. Okay, awesome. And desktop, easy. Okay, and this will be number 2. You can just kind of put 0, 2 on there if you want to. That's good. So there are your you got the low polys done. Congratulations! Yay! And they're all separated. They're all set up. And let me give you a little test on how this would all work. So, just for fun, and you can test this out yourself. So, what you can do again is that if these are you know, rotated, like if I want to go ahead and rotate them all at, you know, basically at the same time, I don't think I can do that right now. So I'd have to do them one at a time, but you get the idea. So if I do a Control D, meaning I duplicate it, because you do this in the game engine, duplicate it, move it over because it's on the grid, right? Move it over, and then rotate it. Okay. And it's still on the grid, and then move it over. Okay. And so this is the idea of building modularly, because I can go in here, and this is just a quick demo, and just go to Control D and rotate that, and like that, and let's move that in. Boom, chakalaka, love it. So that can go on. Look at that. That's so cool. And that's the beauty of doing module system, because I can do this and move it and rotate it and place it. Okay, because we got the grid snap on and it's perfectly lined up every single time. Look at that. It's so cool. And then what you do is you just build your hallway this way. It's amazing. And when you get everything textured, then it's going to be really cool, because then you can go in there and continue building, or you can go in here. I don't want to go too far with this, but you can add your other piece in here, right? And then you've got this wall here, so duplicate that, move that right there, and so you've got a really cool looking system going already. Okay, so that's basically just really quick, and it's really cool. So I'm going to get this back where it was, because I want to save it. Alright, so there you go. I think that's it. Make sure I don't have any duplicates, man. That could be really messy. Alright, so cool. So that's your variance, and that kind of gives you a little insight on how you would build it and all that stuff. We got the pivot points all done and taken care of, and everything's looking really good. Couldn't be happier. Now we're moving on to High Poly, and I'll give you a heads up. You're going to be doing that yourself. You are on your own with the High Poly, and you're on your own with detailing, and you're on your own with rendering, and the thing is, when we get to texturing, why did I say rendering? We're not rendering, we're just doing the High Poly. So what I recommend is that we're all set up for the High Poly, right? So what you'll do, and I'll talk more about this in the video for the High Poly section. In fact, let me just save that for the High Poly. I'm getting way ahead of myself. So anyway, this is the video for the variant, and you are ready to rock and roll now. Okay, go ahead and save your scene, and we'll come back with the High Poly, and we'll get you started, and then you'll finish it. All right, I'll see you then.